Welcome back to Appalachian Expose with the franchise Shane Douglas and a bunch of his friends. You see Kevin Sullivan, Bob Morton, and the whole list, tons of Atlas, so many others. But sitting next to me, one of the guys I had one of my most heated feuds with in my career. Of course, Gary Wolf from the Pitbulls. Gary, appreciate you being here, brother.
Awesome, man.
First of all, I mean, the thing that I get a kick out of is when I run into like a guy like you or Steamboat is what great shape you guys are still keeping yourselves.
Trying.
Try, right? Definitely a lot steeper slope now than it used to be, but what we do, I tell everybody watching those, we've had these discussions 500 times on the road. First meet somebody, hey, we're the train, that kind of thing. And that's really what I like to do with these. I think it's what our fans out there like is, you know, they know the work side of wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to them to some degree. And, you know, all the shoot interviews and all that kind of stuff that have come to be work written shoots or whatever.
Exactly.
But let's get back to the beginning to start with stuff like first of all, what year did you break into wrestling?
1988.
Okay, so 6 years past.
Yeah.
So what? And again, every wrestler answers this question. It's like I feel like I'm doing an episode of Behind the Music, right?
Yes.
It's almost the same exact story, except for these little changes that twist in different directions. But there's a million different routes into this industry, right?
A lot of people don't know our route that we had.
Yeah.
So our route was crazy.
Yeah. So it's first of all, what age when you started watching professional wrestling?
A child, kid.
Small.
Yeah, I used to watch that.
Single digits?
Yeah, my mom and dad, if they would go out and dancing and having a good time back in them days, I would stay at my grandma and grandpa's. And every Saturday morning, I'm up with my grandfather watching fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah. And what was it? WWF you would get then?
Yes.
And at that point, still in 88, 89, the cable still hadn't permeated. It was starting to get out from different portions of the country, but I could never see the NWA until years and years later, right?
Yeah.
But I'd read about them.
I mean, I'm talking, I was a kid watching.
Yeah.
Superstar Billy Graham. And I was a kid, like thinking, wow. It was cool.
Yeah, here's the universal
Shaky.
question. Yeah. Were you a comic book mark?
Yeah.
So I think that's one. I think everybody I've interviewed had said at one point. For me, it was that first time sitting down with my dad, who I had no idea he even liked wrestling. He had cable put in that day. And they gave him, as he's leaving, gave him a free TV guide my dad was looking through. Always on the railroad.
Yes.
But he was home that weekend, and he said, hey, wrestling's on tonight at midnight. You want to watch wrestling? Oh, fuck yeah. I didn't know my dad liked wrestling. And very first segment, you mentioned Superstar, the very first segment of the midnight WOR show out of New York was Superstar Billy Graham, the Grand Wizard, Steel Cage.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the one where he graded the head of cabbage. Just what we do to Sammartino, right?
Yes.
I was like a fish on a hook, man. I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I loved Superstar.
Yeah.
Like as a heel, it was
Perfect.
To me, it was like this guy has everything.
Yeah, the look.
Everything.
And think about it, at that time and before in wrestling, you didn't see guys that looked like Billy.
No.
I mean, he was.
But everybody was bigger than life.
Oh yeah. But they had that big, thick torso, and
they were just a lot of them were just big
raw
men.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Cornbread, big fucking guys. You know.
Right. Yeah,
they later started the bodybuilding guys.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure there were like Austin. I'm not exactly sure like where Austin came into the business and things, but Billy was certainly one of the people that broke that territory. The muscled up, bodybuilder look.
Yeah. Then Ken Patera followed. He was one of the strongest men.
Yeah, it was in the Olympics, and I think it was the first two military 500 or something like that. Just crazy strong. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. In '88, I broke in, and at the time, Larry Sharp's like, you guys go to work for Vince, get some experience in the ring. You know what I mean, and work.
Yeah.
Which I thought I understood what that meant. I'm gonna be honest with you. At that point, I really didn't until I went up there. When I went up there, and I got in the ring with the big boss man and Akeem one night, and then I worked against Ted DiBiase by myself one night. And then I'm working with all these hot tag teams from the Rougeau brothers to the Hart Foundation, every fucking hot tag team. Sure. And we were not even really, we were thinking about being a tag team, but, they put us together anyway. Like, they actually put us together. Vince did. Not us. So
Did-
it was like,
Were you and Anthony friends before the business?
we were, honest to God, a lot of people don't even know this, but the girl I'm with now, which is 22 years, is crazy. But Anthony, me and her all went to the same high school. We're all from
Really?
the same town.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony was in my grade. I graduated in '85. I mean, we had maybe 110 people in my school.
Yeah.
That's how small our school was. That's
Sure.
small our town was. You know what I'm saying?
Were you guys involved in sports in high school?
Yeah, I played football. He played football. Yeah, we were
Did you guys
all.
have wrestling? Amateur
Yes,
wrestling?
I wrestled 1 year. I wrestled 168 class, which was pretty tough. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. But I didn't want to cut weight. That was my
Right.
deal. It was hard enough being 168
Sure.
in high school for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, as a backdrop to this, and the reason I ask is my kids, they grew up watching and loving wrestling. They come to shows.
I did a lot of martial arts though.
Okay.
I did a lot of martial arts,
Yeah.
starting from probably like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade
Right.
up to like 9th and continued.
Yeah, yeah. What
My dad sent me to a hard grade military academy in
Yeah.
Chatham, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay, like where Trump went, where Vince McMahon, but those guys went to a military school in New York so they could be close to home.
Sure.
My parents threw me on a plane and said, "You're going to Virginia."
Was there a reason for that? Like were
yeah,
they
honestly.
involved in drugs or
No, I was. My dad had the boardwalk business. He's a carny.
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandfather invented the
I'm
poker
curious.
machine.
Does he speak Carney?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather invented the fucking water gun game with the balloon
Yeah.
pops and
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
like
Wow.
that. So we had all them games on the boardwalk and
Sure.
all kinds of shit. My dad had rock and roll nightclub and shit. So I had that. That's like handed down to me.
Yeah. Your blood.
So at 18, I was on the Wildwood Boardwalk in New Jersey with businesses, man.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm working out in the gym, in the Tillis gym, and they came up to me and they're like, "Yo," the guys that own the gym were like, "What are you and Aunt doing tonight?" And another guy was with me, Andy Bernowski, who became Leatherface, the new Texas Chainsaw guy. Yeah, he's 6'4", he did Batman, Bruce Willis movies.
Nice.
Yeah, he was cool. He was just bodybuilder. And Crybaby Waldo, who ended up becoming a wrestler.
Yeah.
He wasn't a wrestler either, like us. So
Okay.
they're like, do security. This is when Vince was doing Monday Night Raw, and he would do Wildwood Boardwalk Convention Center.
Yeah.
It would hold maybe 1,500, 1,800.
Okay.
So we snuck in Monday in the afternoon. They weren't, none of the boys were there yet.
Was that the same building ECW ran?
Yes.
It was, okay.
Yes.
There can't be a ton of buildings down there on the board.
No, they changed. Yeah, they ended up making a bigger one, but yeah, it was the same one
Yeah.
at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like one of them small, intimate ones.
Right.
But the building made it look packed. It was packed.
Yeah.
And the ring was already set up, and we're just like, I always wanted to fucking. I never thought I actually would get a chance to get in the ring. I'm gonna fucking jump in this ring.
Yeah.
And Dick Worley's just sitting back. I don't know him yet. I didn't talk to him yet, but I just see him sitting there watching. We get in the ring as four idiots. We're just fucking around. And I couldn't work out for 2 weeks. No fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how bad it was. Sat down next to Dick Worley, man. He's just like, "Hey, how'd that feel?" I'm like, "I'm all fucked up." Started laughing. He looked at. He goes, "Who's that fucking monster?" Andy Bernowski. He's like 6'4", 6'5",
Yeah.
blonde hair.
Right.
He's like, "That motherfucker could be the next Hulk Hogan."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Shh, talk to him. I'll introduce you."
Yeah.
So I introduced him. He's like, "Fuck no, man, I'm dying. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna be a
You want to
bodybuilder."
be a part of it?
Oh, he was hurting like us. So, but later on, me and Anthony says I had my cheesesteak place right between Maury's Pier and Hunt's Pier on the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm.
Guy gave it to me. He's like, "Take it," because I had shit on the pier and shit.
Yeah.
It was an extra thing, I'm not gonna lie. I was in trouble. I was on work release.
Yeah.
So I was getting out every day in prison. They'd come and pick me up.
For what?
Something so stupid.
You don't want to mention it's fine, but just
No, let me think about what happened. Oh yeah, I got involved with some fucking kid, and he was doing something stupid, and they set him up, and I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's pretty much what it was.
Now, is this before or after your parents sent you to the military school?
Oh, way after that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. My parents sent me to military school because my father. I was always on the boardwalk, and I was already a hustler before anybody else was.
Right.
I was going on the beach getting wood. I'd go buy a fucking seagull, stick it on there, glue some shells on there, set up a box, sit on the boardwalk, and I'd sell them for $5 a piece. I'd make $25, $30 a day as a little kid.
You knew one of the pit bulls as an entrepreneur.
We were a hustlers, man. I was a hustler. I was a carny. You know what I mean? So I grew up in that business. So my dad saw me with a Harley Davidson chain wallet. I mean, I always rode a skateboard every day. I surfed, I boogie board, you name it, BMX. I was always active. But when he saw that Harley Davidson chain wallet and he had the money to do it, he said, I got to break the cycle. This motherfucker's going to hard grade. He's going to military school.
Yeah.
And it was good that I went because it turned me into a man.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to lie, I got bullied here and there. You know, but after military school, that shit changed, man. I came back a totally different person. Right. And like the people who bullied me, I got them back. I didn't bully nobody, but I made sure I hurt everybody that hurt me.
Yeah.
And I came back with the confidence knowing that nobody could beat me, because what they did to me in military school, they couldn't do that to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? They put me through hell, but it was good experience. And like I said, they started me out with Israeli hand-to-hand combat, very young.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went on from there, you know what I mean, doing every art I could do.
At this stage at the military school or immediately after, first of all, how much did you and Anthony stay in contact at that point?
We were like still in school, but he had his clique, I had my own clique.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got into high school, you know what I mean, we could see each other here and there. We were playing football together too.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up, I think, leaving school around 10th or 11th grade. I stayed, and I started working out at a different gym.
Yeah.
And I would never see Anthony in the gym.
Yeah.
You know?
That big cocksucker
Never. No, he was just cornbread. You know.
Yeah.
You know. You gotta remember, we're from a small farm town.
Yeah.
You know, he was just a big Italian boy. I was half Italian. I'm Janini.
Yeah.
My mom's Italian. My dad's Irish and German. So it was a small town and very, you know what I mean? Like mom was cooking. You know what I mean?
Down home.
Yeah, that's how it was. And one day I'm in the gym and here Anthony comes walking in.
Wow, really?
Yeah, out of the blue. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know what I mean? He looked at me. He goes, "Oh man, you work out here?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Just started working out." I'm like, "Really? Just started? Look at you." Because Anthony is very big bone.
Yeah, thick.
You know, he's like his wrists are like twice the size of mine.
Yeah.
It's weird. And I'm small joint, so I look bigger, and I'm not really not.
Right.
The illusion.
Is this at the time frame that you guys begin to conjure the idea of getting into wrestling, or is that something that's in high school?
That was just right before I would start bringing. Then that's when I brought him. That summer is the first summer I brought him to Wildwood.
Yeah.
And I showed him this is what I did.
Right.
And I let him work for me. And then we got introduced with the WWE at that point.
Right.
And he was working for me, and I was in trouble, so I got a work release, and they were cool about it. And he would come and pick me up every morning and bring me back every night. And I had stayed with the mayor of Cape May, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a 77-year-old man. So they put me with him to make sure nobody would mess with him.
Yeah. Now, I'm just trying to get
Just jumping around.
No, clear in my head with. So you're in high school. At what grade did your parents send you to military school? Was that after?
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Wow, that early.
Yes, that's
Wow.
what I'm saying. That came before high school. That's why when I got back to high school, I'm like, oh, I remember you, motherfucker. You don't remember me because I look different.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna fucking remind you who I am.
So you and Andy, when you start training at this time in the same gym,
Yeah.
had you been training at the Monster Factory yet?
No.
That hadn't happened.
We were still, I was like, just graduated high school. It was probably like 85, 86. You know,
so a couple more years before you actually started training.
we didn't start going. The summer of 87 was when this happened, and we joined the Monster Factory in 1988.
So with the, you mentioned WWF there a little while ago.
Yes.
Did you guys go to the WWF before you had any training?
Yeah, we joined the Monster Factory in 1988, and we started working there. We were there 4 nights a week, every fucking week. No bullshit.
Who were the other people at the gym at that time?
Bammer was just on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
Bear was there. Godfather, you know, you guys call him Godfather. I call him Bear because that's what his gimmick was when he first left the factory and went to Japan, just like Bammer did.
Yeah.
Chris Candido. The Mummy.
Yeah.
He was there. Johnny Hotbody.
Really?
maybe Larry Winters, or maybe one of them guys, old school guys.
Doesn't it seem strange to you that, we hear about the Memphis Clique, these different places where all these wrestlers emanate from.
Headbangers came after us.
Okay, so here on that in Florida, right? The
Yes.
Monster Factory.
Yeah.
Dominic DeNucci School. That when you were there training, first of all, how did they train you? Well, I've never been to the Monster. I've been in the building, but I mean, what was the method of training?
Well, Charlie Fulton was partners with Larry Sharp.
Another one of the old time wrestlers.
So that's an Ohio guy right there. Right. And he pretty much was there working with me with Larry. When I first joined, Anthony joined like 30 days before I did. Because I met up with Larry, and he said, this is what we got to pay, and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, look, what if we give you 500 down? We want to jump on this now. Yeah, like we're young. I'm talking, I graduated in 85, what am I, 17, 18, so 19, 20. I'm like just turned 21 maybe. Yeah. I just started the school. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty quick.
Yeah. And how long did you train at the school before the WWE or other doors would start to open?
I would say 8 or 9 months in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Larry got a call, and they were like, Vince says, look, who do you got there now that you could send up to do some jobs, get some experience, and we want to look at him. And we want to look at him, just for the hell of it. I heard you got this because Cowboy Bob Orton would always come around. Yeah. Don Morocco would always come around. All Larry's guys that he was tight with, would always come around, hang out with him at the school if they were happened to be in town working or whatever. And they would watch.
Again, for the fans out there, just to interject, because I'm sure not everybody does. Larry Winters was one of the guys. Winter was one of the guys that was instrumental at Monster Factory and bringing all these guys into the business. But he had for years been an enhancement talent on WWE, and we went to the house shows. I remember often the Pittsburgh house shows where he would be there, one of the guys on the card. So he'd been around the business, even though he himself had never made himself like that star. Mm-hmm. Right? But he had this Monster Factory that was sort of his legacy.
Larry Sharp?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched. He was a good worker. He was a great worker.
Yeah.
He would come up with gimmicks before other guys would.
Right.
Where, one night he showed me a video of him, and he was like, I'm fucking around, He's like, so he gets a piece of toilet paper and he sticks it in the back of his tights, and he has the rest of it hanging, and he's the biggest heel in the world, for Vince. So when he worked for Vince, he would walk out and everybody, is laughing at him and pointing, and he's turning around and looking, and he's doing that. That's the kind of gimmicks he would do and sell the shit. But I'm not gonna lie, Larry Sharp was a fucking straight up shooter, man. Fucking catch wrestler, motherfucker. He could wrestle his fucking ass.
But didn't you find that every one of those men and women back then that were in the industry, Moolah on the women's side, Larry Sharp, Johnny Rods, all those guys, they were all salty guys. They could handle themselves in the ring and outside.
Iron Sharp.
Mike Sharp.
Mike Sharp. Yeah, he was always at the school, Mike Sharp. King Kong Bundy was just almost done, he was already...
Oh, yeah. 80, 89, he was getting ready to jump in and make that big splash.
Yeah.
So when you guys get through the school, was there a thing? Dominic did it differently, I guess, from what I hear other people. Was it, okay, you paid your money, you've been here for a year, you're good to go? Or could you go keep going back if you want to?
Oh, yeah. We were there from 88 to 89, and then when 90 came around, around 89, I'm not going to lie, that's when shit started working. And Larry said, you know what? I'm going to start managing you guys. So we were one of the guys, like a Bammer, or Bear, and all the other guys. He's going to manage us, man. He wants to go. So King Curtis, actually, Don Morocco and King Curtis saw us. And when we were working all the independents back in them days, just learning, we were green as hell. We were lucked out and got to work with the fucking Samoans, Alpha and Sika. And what happened was Alpha and Sika were like, okay, Larry, I want them at every one of our shows that we're ever working. We want to wrestle them guys. And that's what happened. And that's how we became tight with the Samoans.
Sure. Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm working up there for Vince, and who was his name? Gorilla Monsoon from Cherry Hill, who's from New Jersey. We're from New Jersey. Yeah. He knew that. He watched us one night work against the Hart Foundation and said, Vince, those guys.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And we went back home. We didn't know nothing. They didn't say nothing to us. And the guy said, come in the office. And he's like, all right, ready to work? Now, we have already done tours in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already gotten some really good experience. We've never left the whole country, ever.
Yeah.
And right away, they're like, okay, we're going to New Zealand for 2 weeks. Again, it's the American Pitbulls.
So you came up with that name?
Me and my aunt, I actually came up with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then Anthony agreed. But Don Morocco came up with our names.
Right, right.
So I was Psychotic Spike, and Anthony was Rabid Rex. And we were the American Pitbulls versus the British Bulldogs.
Oh, wow.
First tour ever. And
Yeah.
we're going against who? The guys that I grew up, like my idols. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm like, what the fuck?
Nervous as shit.
In front of 55,000 people. Okay? Never, I mean, we were in front of 20-something thousand for Raw and all them shows, whatever we did. You know, we only did 10 jobs just to get experience.
Yeah.
For 55,000 against them.
Yeah, they're a beast.
And the first night, man, wasn't like a usual night in the business. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because they're looking at us like, look at these fucking kids. And their names are the Pit Bulls. We're the Bulldogs. What the fuck are they trying to pull here?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would say and think now that I'm older and I understand what they're thinking.
Sure, sure.
You know, so Larry Sherman went across the hall to get the finish. Came back, his head's down, shaking his head. I guess Larry and Dynamite must have had a problem here and there.
Yeah.
Because you know how Dynamite works.
Yeah. He could do that.
Yes. And he's just shaking his head. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I'm fucking pissed. I'm like, oh, man. And he's like, I go, so what's the finish? He goes, there is no fucking finish. And he's like, I go, okay. I said, how long? He goes, 45 minutes. I said, okay. So the first test, do we go out? Fuck yeah, we went out.
Yeah.
Okay, second test, do we get in the ring? Fuck yeah, we got in the ring.
Yeah.
By that time, there was nothing stopping us,
Yeah.
55,000 people. I don't care how high I was or I smoked a joint before I went out there. Maybe I didn't, I don't remember. But I was on a totally different level high than that. That was gone, man.
Right.
I was like, oh my God. But it was amazing to me.
Yeah, sure.
So we get in the ring with them, and no lie, we beat the shit out of each other for 45 fucking minutes. And I remember Dynamite hitting Anthony right across the face with a clothesline, and I just snapped the fuck out, man. It was like at that point, like, tag me the fuck in, and he tugged me in. I shot Dynamite in, dude, and I fucking took his fucking head off. And I didn't know how bad he was. I just loved his work. Especially I used to watch him in Tiger Mask on a regular basis, bro. That's my shit.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck. And I didn't know this. This motherfucker had a broken collarbone. He's still working with us. So finally, after the hot tag and we're doing this shit, they took it, you know, and they said, all right, we're going home. We went through the match and they called it and it was very smooth. And I went to bed the next day. Anthony went to bed that night. We were fucking we were at it. This is the first time ever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was an almost shoot, you know.
Yep.
Very stiff, like a Japan, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck, man.
Was there any residual heat after?
This is what happened. 11 o'clock, we'd kick out. We hear all this noise. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God, I'm hurting, man, I'm hurting. So I opened the door. I figured Larry's right across the hall, I thought. So the door was open. So I just walk in like fucking stomping my feet. I look, and it's them. Dynamite and Davey Boy, he's just sitting there, and I'm like, oh fuck. And they're already drinking. They've been up for I don't know hours, man. They already killed a half a bottle of VO, man, already. Okay, and I said to myself, man, I'm fucking getting my ass beat. Like that's what I said to myself. And they were just like, yo, come here, and they hugging me, and they're fucking have a drink.
Yeah.
It's 11 a.m. Have a drink. Where's that fucking Anthony? Where's fucking Anthony?
Yeah.
Go get him. So go get him, mate. I go get him, bring him over. And bro, it was apples and it was night and day. They were like, welcome to the business. You guys were fucking so profound. Anybody else would have panicked and fucking you guys just kept going even though we were stiff. He goes, that's awesome. You're going to be good in Japan. He would never put us over.
Yeah.
He goes, the next 2 weeks are going to be easy as fuck, he said.
Yeah.
And I learned so much.
Sure.
It was amazing them 2 weeks. And we were lucky because we got to do that 4 or 5 different times. And these are the caliber guys that we got to go with. The Bulldogs first. Hondo and Mondo, the Guerrero brothers. That's Eddie's dad and Rey Mysterio's dad. We get to work them. Imagine the experience just with them guys.
Yeah.
The Bushwhackers. Again, we were back.
Were they Bushwhackers now or sheep herders still at that time?
I think they were the Bushwhackers. They came back to New Zealand to go against us. So
that makes sense, yeah.
It was a big, because we got over in New Zealand. We were lucky. I don't know. Don loved us, man. Don Morocco and King Curtis loved us. So it didn't Samoan, so that kept us there. And another time was Steve Strong, and I think Mondo came in just to tag with him.
Yeah.
And we were there once. Larry crushed one side of the ring once. That was really one of the funniest fucking things ever. Larry Sharp came in the ring, and that 1/4 part of the ring collapsed at a huge show. I mean, it was like, and we had to work around it. I think that's the night Steve Strong was there. He was like a monster, blonde hair. I don't know really who he worked for much, unless it was just mostly tours. I don't know.
Well, especially to a lesser degree Australia and New Zealand, but certainly from Japan and then some of the Oriental countries. And around that point, 80s, early 90s is when New Zealand and Australia, remember Australia had a huge history with professional wrestling in the 60s with the original WCW.
Oh, Australia, yeah. But New Zealand, it was different there. I mean, we would just go for tours, but that was great. And like I said, that was our first ever, going out of the country before we had our first gig. I said, we would go, to the events just to get some experience. And then, like I said, we came back from that. I think it was probably the 10th time, and we knew we didn't want to go back. And we didn't use no names. We used our real names. Yeah. But they kind of put us together there. It was weird. And then we went back and we finally said, now we understand how to work. You know what I mean? And going overseas helped, unbelievable working with them guys.
Yeah, sure. Well, when you're at this stage of your career, now I'm trying to talk to the fans out there, when you're at this stage of your career, I always say how, you go to the Monster Factory, I went to Dominant School. In those schools, we learned how to do the moves, how to suplex, take a body slam, do all that. The question that you didn't learn in the school was when to do the suplex, when not to do the back drop, when to speed up and slow down. Yeah. So the experience he's talking about, being in the ring with guys like the Bulldogs and Hondo and Eddie's father, that's the kind of experience that in this industry is, you can't put a price tag on it.
Dude.
Because you learn.
Yeah, so you have no idea. I feel bad. Honestly, I was lucky to break. Honestly, I should have broke in maybe 7 or 10 years earlier, and I was in like Flynn. We were a little bit later, but you got to remember the older guys were cooler than that. We were still on their level as far as the respect and the kayfabe and what they taught us was the rules. You know what I mean? We shake everybody's hand, introduce ourselves. The main event at the show, I don't care who it is. No thanks for the house.
Absolutely.
They drew the fucking house.
Yeah, your paycheck is feeding off of that.
Yes, and I don't think guys to this day, around here to this day, they have no clue what I'm talking about, nor do they do it.
Right. Let's talk for a split second. We'll come back to where we are. About kayfabe. You and I broke into the business while kayfabe was still a main principle in the business. You didn't. If you and I were working tonight, we wouldn't be doing this interview.
No,
or in a program. So
we weren't allowed to travel together in the same car.
No, absolutely.
I was told.
So, what's your take? First of all, let me ask you: how did Larry Sharp broach the subject of kayfabe with you?
It's part of the business. So, not only do we have to learn how to fall, take bumps, and there's also a etiquette. And I guess a rule of thumb, some words, if you want to put it, you follow. It's called a respect line, I guess. And that's very important to me, and that's how they put it in my head, that it's very important. And that's no bullshit, so I always took that very seriously.
Yeah. And I try to tell the fans who are watching us all the time that when we see this today, and I don't point the finger at the kids or promotions, whatever. I think the industry has just gone beyond that to where everybody out there knows it's a work, so it doesn't really matter if you do that or not. And my response to that would be, when I walk into a movie theater to watch a movie, say a horror movie, 50 feet big on the screen, the monster's got the scary dude, the murderer's got a big machete knife. There's nobody dying on the screen. It's fake entertainment. But why do you like this? Because you're involved in it. You've been submersed into it. And wrestling fans, I've worked in front of a few in my day. I've always seen it as the wrestling fans, the fact that it's a work, it's a shoot, it's entertainment, it's a sport, is irrelevant to them, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be beaten over the head with, I'm going to give you this really corny character or this really corny storyline. Put it out there in a cogent fashion, the heel that can get heat, a baby face that can shine, and an intelligent storyline behind that. It will work every time. Except our industry is, in my head, I've done about 20, 25 years ago where that started disappearing. And to me, that's such a huge part of the aura, right? We've all read books and heard stories about the movie studios in the 40s and 30s, right? They create this character, for the big stars like Marilyn Monroe, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't her name. They make this
They made it up.
character and they push the hell out of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't real, but the world knows her as Marilyn Monroe, right? And in our business, same thing. We create these characters, or they're created for us, and we protect that and make those characters mean something. Do you? I guess it's a rhetorical question, but I'll ask it. Do you see the lack of kayfabe today as part of why we're seeing much smaller audiences? I mean, even like when they hit 1 million, Vince used to be doing 8 and 9 million per show, per week on his ratings. Do you think the kayfabe is the lack of kayfabe today is contributing to the audience going like this?
Yeah, once they changed it to sports entertainment, I think the people started getting more smarter.
Yeah.
Smart marks, I want to say.
Right.
But look at ECW. I mean, we pretty much educated them people.
Yeah. And because you brought it up, it's we'll jump right to this and come back if we have to. But the night we did the Halo program, for you fans that aren't aware of what we're talking about, I'm guessing most of you do, but for you younger people out there watching, pull up Pitbull franchise Halo match, Halo spot, and we had this all planned out.
Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah. Of course.
What was the one secret that the fans that night in the building were not aware of, as far as your health concerned?
I had gotten the Halo taken off a week prior to the show.
So you were healed.
I was healed 6 weeks with the Halo on. That I broke my neck. I broke C1. I didn't have to get surgery. I was very lucky. My muscles saved my life.
Literally
saved my life.
Let me jump in there for a second. I told you this the other night, right? That night after the match in the dressing room, Gary's in the back. I can't get my neck to crack.
It's jammed. I didn't understand.
Right, the whole night you're walking around trying to pop your neck. Meanwhile, he's got a broken neck. So if you hadn't had that musculature that you had,
I'd have been dead. Dead or paralyzed.
Yeah.
I mean, the minimum they told me was like when I walked in my chiropractor's office, he just looked at me and said, "Did you go to the bathroom in your pants or something wrong?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "No, my neck's hurting." No, and he's just like, "Here's a script. Go to the hospital now."
Yeah.
Because I've seen the same guy for 30 years. Yeah. He knows me. He could just look at me and know what the fuck's wrong.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I happened to be with Raven, Sammy, a bunch of the guys. Usually Monday was our get fixed day. We go to the chiropractor and get fixed.
Sure, yeah.
I went to the hospital. I drove to the hospital, believe it or not. And at that point, I wasn't even taking pain gimmicks because I didn't know how bad hurt I was. So Sunday night, I didn't take anything.
Yeah.
When I woke up Monday, I didn't even wake up. I was already up. I didn't sleep.
On your way driving to the hospital, did you have any inkling, just figured you got a stinger in your neck or something?
No, at that point I started to say something ain't right because I wasn't on pain meds and my range of motion was disappearing. In other words, it was starting to be like, I gotta start going like this now. Yeah. I can't turn my neck.
Yeah. So again, if a broken neck by itself isn't enough to make you realize how dangerous this was, which was it, C1 or 2? C1. So the higher up you go in the neck and you break there with the spinal cord, had that been severed, he'd have been paralyzed from here down. I mean, incredibly dangerous.
It broke like it was a donut, and it broke just like that.
Mm-hmm.
and my muscle, as soon as it broke, my muscle went like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And since it was so round, you could bring up pictures of me when I had the ECW television title. My traps were touching my fucking ears.
Yeah.
Okay, that saved my life because
Sure.
I went in, they took X-rays. Next thing you know, they're strapping me down, and I'm like, okay.
When they realized after the X-ray,
Yeah.
did the tension level in the room go?
Oh my God. It was like, yeah. You didn't even, you just felt it. You could just look at their faces,
Sure.
and you could see the concern in their eyes, and they're like in their mind saying, how are we looking at this?
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Sure.
And I'm like, because I said to them, I drove my car here, and they go, listen, this ain't time for jokes.
Yeah.
We have to really get you situated. I said,
Yeah.
well, let me go pee. And they're like, no, you're not getting up.
Yeah.
And I said, look, ma'am, look, nurse, here's my valet ticket. I'm telling you, put the valet ticket away. We believe you. Do not move.
Yeah.
And they put a collar on me. That's when the shit kicked in my head, and I was very fucking shitting my
I
pants.
bet. Well, I bet.
I was fucking scared to death.
Yeah.
Because the way they were acting, oh my God, man, you don't know. I mean, the shit that was going through my mind, I was like, is this it? Am I done? Is this
course,
it?
yeah.
Like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
Am I going to get surgery? Like, how bad
Did
is
they
it?
have to do surgery? Or was it
No,
not?
because, well, that's when I restarted recalling hearing it break.
Yeah.
So it went, crack.
Mm.
That's how it hit in my head.
Yeah.
And then I was out, white. And I remembered then I started seeing the light,
Yeah.
and I wiggled my fingers and my toes like I was tall.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, okay, this thing is not that bad, but I did land on the belt. Fuck.
No.
So I rolled out, made it to the back, like you said, didn't think.
And again, I just to give this texture. When we're in the ring, we work probably 30 times at that point.
Yeah,
When,
shit.
when we get knocked down in this ring, first of all, it ain't a mattress like a lot of fans believe. It's a lot harder than you believe it is. But when that good bump comes, you feel that boom and that give and take.
I wasn't there. It was stiff.
Stud.
Thud is right.
I rolled stage, camera
I
left.
think you went right.
You went right. And
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
over and I saw you rolling out holding your neck. It looked like you were selling.
Yes.
And then we get to the dressing room, you're doing all this with your neck and everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, at that point, they put the collar on you. They told you got a broken neck.
Yeah.
What next?
They brought me to a room. The head doctor comes in. You know, not much. I mean, I'm in my early 30s, I guess. You know, early 30s. You know, he a little bit older 30s. Well, look at this fucking top dog here. Top dog, you know.
Yeah.
Comes in, Vaccaro, looks at me, keeps looking at me, scratches his fucking head, goes over, looks at the X-rays. This motherfucker pulling them off, switching them upside down, keeps looking at him, scratching his head, turns around, looks at me.
Yeah.
Says, "How you feeling?" I said, "Not good.
Yeah.
I need pain meds." You know what I mean? I said, "I don't feel right." I never took a pill in my life.
Yeah.
No bullshit. Maybe a Xanax here and there, but never. No, I wasn't a fan of pills.
Sure. Yeah.
And he just kept looking at me. Finally, he said, "Listen, you know, tonight, just relax, stay in bed, won't get up, leave that collar on. You know, if you have to go piss, just be very careful, please. We'll be back very early in the morning." And I'm
So
like,
you're admitted to the hospital.
yeah, oh, fuck yeah. So I start making calls, you know, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, now this is real.
Mm.
I don't understand what's going on.
Sure.
So I'm shitting my pants. A couple friends come visit me. Here comes Todd Gordon, Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
Big Joe comes with a big bag of cheeseburgers. You know, I didn't need food. I was like losing my shit.
Yeah.
Todd came in with Stevie, and he's like, Todd's jaw hit the ground. What's wrong? I said, I don't know what's wrong. I said, I'm just going to tell you what they told me. He said, my neck is broken. And Todd was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like he's looking out of the fucking hallway looking around because the lawyers are starting to fucking flock in. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. So Todd didn't look too happy. I said, look, everything's cool right now. He's going to talk to me in the morning and tell me what's going on. I said, but right now I don't know what the fuck's going on. I said, it looks pretty fucking serious to me, the way they were acting.
Yeah, no
I'm
shit.
shitting my pants.
And hearing the words broken neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to get into, can I get back in the ring yet with him? Because I didn't want to tick him off because he was the head guy and that would just be silly. So I said, I'm going to wait. So at the 7 o'clock in the morning, man, it was like a choo-choo train. About 15, 16 got doctors with him first. They all had their tablets and They're looking at my fucking thing. They're checking me out. They're looking at me, asking me all kinds of questions. Obviously, I had a concussion.
Yeah.
You know, I did. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I had no idea.
Again, I'll just keep interjecting. You know, my med school background. When you see the doctor turning that upside down, the level of stress on their face and everything, what's going through their head at this point is, I'm imagining, as he's looking at you and looking at this X-ray, he's thinking, how can he move a finger?
Yeah.
You know, how these two things don't go together.
Yeah, he told me, he was looking at, he even stopped and said, he goes, your spinal fluid is about that much. He goes, that's abnormal. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So I even had a better chance of hitting that fluid when it broke and being more fucked up quicker.
Yeah.
He goes, it's abnormal. He goes, I don't know if that saved you.
Yeah.
Or he goes, I know the muscle saved you.
Right.
Because they had no other conclusion.
Sure.
And they all left the room after hours. And he was still sat down, started writing shit down, talking to his fucking thing, saying some crazy shit that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I hear Halo. I'm like, what the fuck? I said, I think I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, no fucking way, I'm saying to myself. There's not, no way, man. You're drilling in my skull. No fucking way. So he comes up and he's like, all right, here's what I got. I've never seen this before in my fucking whole career as being a fucking spinal specialist.
Yeah.
You broke your fucking neck and we're still having this conversation.
Right.
Your muscle saved your life and God. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Yeah.
We're going to put you in a halo. Everything is perfect. It didn't move. It just cracked right in half.
Which is, again, the muscle.
The muscle saved your life. He goes, if it would have went like this, a centimeter, you know what I mean? Because how much fluid you have in your spinal cord, it's abnormal. You know, I haven't even seen that. I got to get into that with you. It's not a problem because it could be a benefit, but it's strange. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he's just like, So he's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a halo on you, take it off in 6 weeks, and we should be good to go. I was like, no fucking way. You're not going to have to fuse me or anything? He's like, absolutely not. Like, if you would have broke two with it, and you'd probably be paralyzed. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
He goes, but, like I said, your muscle saved your life. I don't know. Then I would have had to fuse you. So I'm going to put a halo on it. I said, no fucking way, man. At this point, I'm thinking I'm Superman. I can survive the broken neck. You know what I mean? He goes, Gar, nah, man. I said, well, how about this, Doc? I said, because you have to sign yourself out if you're going to leave without the halo. Because I can't be responsible. You could get paralyzed.
Sure.
I was stubborn. I said, no fucking way. So they put me in a hall. They took me out of my room, put me in a hall. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, rush hour, Philadelphia, major car accidents, 24/7. Next thing you know, this kid's getting pushed by me, just got in a major car accident. He's wearing a fucking halo. He's all fucked up. All right, tough guy. Mr. Pro Wrestler, you're big and shit. This kid just 12 years old just came by. He's got a halo. He did it.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I get it. I do it. I'll understand. I understand. So I said, Doc, okay, if I do this, what's the deal? He's like, 6 weeks, it comes off, it's like a broken bone.
Yeah.
Then you go to rehab and you should be good as go. I said, so when can I get back in the ring?
Yeah.
So that's when he looked at me, you know, and he was just like, well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna.
You're a dumb fuck.
Yeah. So, you know, he was just like, listen, he goes, give it 6 months.
Yeah.
I gave it 8 months.
Yeah.
And that's because it took time to get our angle set up. Everybody was afraid to do it in the beginning. And I don't blame him. Todd was shitting his pants. Paul was upset. Everybody, we were freaked out. Everybody was freaked out. We were all freaked out. That's the problem.
Yeah. So we get to the point back in the Halo incident. Paul comes up with this idea and pitches it to us. Again, for the fans out there that think that any of us would have put ourselves in jeopardy, had he not been healed up and given his daughter's approval, no way in the world would we have ever tried that. But were you? Well, let me describe it to the fans that haven't seen it. I'm wrestling his partner. Franny used to do the distraction. I would get the change. But Anthony had veins and arteries reversed. So, like, if we push our blood into our face, we turn red.
Yeah.
Anthony would turn blue, which in this kind of a spot, incredible, right? Full Nelson, chain around his neck, turns blue. You come up.
Did we put her through a table too that night?
No, that was when she turned on.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. So you're at ringside waving the floor.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you come up the stairs, and if you watch closely, you'll see the fans in the ring going, like, what's he fucking doing?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Wave it again, throw it in my face, and I keep refusing. You come through the ropes.
Yes.
Now, at that point, we had it choreographed.
Yes.
Grab the halo.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down you go.
Bump.
And because you were locked into this thing, I've always said that if you'd have taken a crisp flat back bump there, it would have killed it. Right?
Would have buried it.
It looked like Frankenstein's monster. It's so abnormal. Plus, as the backdrop to this, the fans all around Philly had seen him walking around for 6 weeks with this thing screwed into his skull. So everybody in that building had bought into it.
It was the South Philly crowd, bro. They were fucking pissed.
Rabid. Yeah.
Rabid. It was insanity. Yeah. The heat was like coming off the people. You could see it in the smoke. Well,
it started, so you took the bump down. If you watch the playback, I'm confused because I was taught to listen to sound and then sight. So I'm trying to gauge the crowd, and the entire crowd was like this, oh my freaking God look on their face. And that went from this to bangs out and fans jumping over the railing. As Francine's laying over her face down, she has no idea any of this is going on.
I couldn't even say because the way I'm going to tell you that if you didn't see the bump, watch it wasn't a back bump.
Right.
I had still selling my left arm.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the get-go, I said I had problems not feeling in my left arm.
Yeah.
So when I took the bump, I couldn't take a flap. I went down like a Frankenstein. Did this lit one knee, and then down.
So awkward.
It was so awkward, but being in that, it was so difficult. But also, I was locked in there. I couldn't move my head.
Right.
So when the shit hit the fan, I could only look
up.
Yeah,
you can't look up.
All I seen was body parts flying by.
Yeah.
Like it was, I was freaking me out because I couldn't move.
Well, I've been in wrestling 11, 12, 13 years at that point. And I'd always hear these old timers funk and these guys hard. They talk about white heat.
Whoa.
And, by that stage of my career, I started reaching the point where I thought, these old timers are full of shit. Right? Come on, these fans don't go crazy like that. Remember, it happened that night. Terrifying. Two things that scared me the most was Paul would tell me and Francine, if you ever see cops in riot gear, you know you're in imminent danger. Well, we're in that building all day. Did you ever see cops around the building?
Not in riot.
So I'm thinking he's full of shit, right?
Yeah.
When that first one came around the corner, my heart went like something bad gonna happen. He starts pushing me. The second one comes. He's pulling me. I'm bent over. I grab Freddie, all 98 pounds of her, and I'm dragging her, trying to get her feet up under her. And at the same time, the one my fans are kicking and kneeing me, beating the shit out of me. So I push my head back, and I see Tommy has pulled back the two curtains.
Before that, didn't you punch Todd Gordon in the face?
Yes. Feared for my life. When I jumped through the ropes, instead of jumping, like Francine was, like the camera's here, Francine was laying down here, and you were next to her.
Yes.
Instead of jumping out and landing facing that way, just not even thinking, I jumped through the ropes and I'm facing opposite. So
That's
I turn
where
around.
they're coming.
They're pouring from the other side of the ring.
Yes.
So I turn around, my thinking, get Francine and get the fuck out of here. And as I'm turning, I see somebody coming up quick, and I just blindly, I think I'm saving my life, right? Hit Toddy with,
Yes, right there.
And that's when I looked up and saw the first riot cop. And I was honestly waiting to hear bang or feel stabbed. It was crazy. And then we get to the car and away from there. What was the immediate feedback? Because I'm sure you and Anthony had friends in the audience. What was the immediate feedback you got?
Well, they were picking me up and trying to get me out on a stretcher into the ambulance. Mm-hmm. They were rushing me back. They wanted to rush me back to the hospital.
Was that a work or was that a shoot?
It was a work, but they brought the ambulance out and everything. So the fans didn't know that. The fans thought I was going back to the hospital.
Yeah.
The ambulance came for me.
Right.
You fucked me up again.
Sure. Yeah.
That's why they were so pissed.
Yeah.
Because I was walking out and they kept saying, we'll get him, we'll go get him right now, we're going to fucking kill him right now.
Yeah.
And that's what they were saying. They were like, you're going to the hospital, don't worry, Gary, we're going to go fucking kill that motherfucker. That's what they were saying. And I was like, I couldn't see nothing until I got in the ambulance. Yeah. And I'm asking the doctor and the medic guys, I'm like, what's going on? What the fuck happened? Like I see people jumping over me and I know they were fans. I said, I know they were boys. I said, they were in black jackets, jeans. I said, they're fans.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my God, you don't even want to fucking know. They
Yeah.
almost got killed. They were getting attacked." And
Yeah.
they got me up. They took everything off because I still could. Like I said, they set it up where I put everything to me, but it didn't go in my skull and
Right.
pads.
A day after this, next day, a week after this. Again, because you guys were pretty well known around Philadelphia. Were there fans coming up to you and saying anything?
They were coming to my house, banging on my freaking door.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, right. So we were talking about kayfabe earlier. Those fans that were in that building that night, by that time, they had seen barbed wire matches, swinging scaffold matches.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Lee take that crazy bump from Tommy down through 4 tables and the tables tipped.
Crucifixion.
The crucifixion, the branding, right?
The branding.
The fighting in the audience, the beating up the crowds. I mean, they had seen an awful lot.
Oh, yeah.
And were probably the 1,100 smartest fans on the planet at that moment. How then did they get caught with the work?
Because it really wasn't a whole work. It
Yeah.
was a shoot.
But do you also think, like, the way I try to get it in my head is, you go tell a 4-year-old there's no SANTA in case there's any kids out there, right? They don't want to hear that. They want to believe there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wrestling fans the same. They want to believe they're smart, but in their heart of hearts, they want to buy into something.
Yeah.
And in this case, that fucker was an asshole and did this to this guy.
Your heel radar was here,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
I can't raise it that high.
Yeah.
That's where it went.
My ex-wife started getting death threats that night.
Yes,
at
I
the
believe
house.
you. I believe
And Francine and I remember we had to be snuck in and out of buildings in the trunks of cars for like
you.
3
I remember
months.
you called me up,
Yeah, right?
and I had to like make some calls and
Yeah.
get that. I had to smarten up people
Yeah.
that didn't know it was a work and say it was a work, not a work. It was a shoot work,
Right,
but
right.
it was an action happens. I took a bad bump. Pretty much, that's what it came down to. He was trying to tell me all night how to take the bump, and he was right. Even though he worked his ass off, got knocked out twice during that match
Yeah.
in a 4-way dance, okay, for the television title. It wasn't his fault. He gave me the right bump. I just took the wrong fucking bump.
I figured as the day was going on, you were ribbing me, right?
No, I wasn't.
He said, you came to me originally and said, I want to take like a DDT.
That's how I thought I could take it. And I didn't realize until I stopped, watched the tape of you and Anthony working together, and I watched how he took it. Even though your elbow was still behind his head, he still was able to take a chest bump,
Yeah.
and it didn't matter. I took it like a DDT, so when your elbow was behind me, it just brought me down quicker. I just fucked up.
Yeah.
I should have just, I took it like a DDT, but I was going to land on my knee. What the problem was, I just got my bicep repaired, like
Shit. Yeah. So you couldn't
maybe
rely
a
on that
few real
protection.
weeks before it was all done, and I really couldn't put any power on that.
Sure.
So I was pretty much like, what the fuck am I doing? I said to myself halfway down, like, this was not the right call.
Right.
And I realized it when I heard the crack, and then I said it, I didn't hear the good bump sound, like you talk about.
Where I breathed a temporary sigh of relief was, again, the bump itself felt extremely awkward. It wasn't that a boom, boom, and roll off or whatever. It's just like a thud, dead thud. But when I looked over, you were outside the ring. And I just assumed, okay, he's good, thank God. And then the stuff in the dressing room. So fast forward, was it Monday morning that you had the surgery?
Yeah.
So Todd Gordon calls me Monday morning. Hey, fans have to understand, at this time, us knuckleheads were always trying to rib each other, right? Pull practical on each other. And Todd calls me and says, "Did you hear about Gary?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "You broke his neck. He's in the hospital." Get the fuck out of here, Todd. I said, "I wasn't either. Trying to pop his neck."
I didn't believe it.
Yeah. So that week, the next weekend, when I get there, if you remember, I'm one, because this is a fake halo that just screwed into his skull.
Oh, you didn't see me for weeks.
Was that been that long?
It was like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because at 4 weeks, I said, I can't take this shit no more.
Yeah.
I was starting to get sleep.
Yeah.
It was the first 10 days I couldn't sleep. I went to, if Pazienzo, who broke his neck, the boxer,
Go to the
gym,
gym.
I could fucking go to the gym,
Yeah.
and I did. Which was stupid, but I had to get to the gym to just get my head straight. And convince Todd Gordon and Paul Heyman we gotta fucking do an angle and make money off of this,
I'm glad we got this. I've always wanted to know this. To me, that is a gimme from heaven.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I said.
So, how did that never translate? Has Todd ever shared any information? I know Paul never did with me. I thought that's where we were going, and all of a sudden it became.
No, when I mentioned it to Todd was like, hell no. He thought, like, I'm done. I'm never coming back. This ain't gonna happen. He's not gonna be strong enough to come back. It's a good idea, but it's not gonna happen. And at that time, I don't even know if he was afraid I'm trying to sue the company.
Well, definitely anybody would think that.
Yeah, but no, that was the last thing on my mind. At that point, I was thinking of the boys. I'm like, I am not. What am I going to do? Take you guys' check out of your pocket and your family? I'm not fucking stupid. Yeah. He told me I can come back, so I'm listening to a professional doctor who's a fucking expert. So I told Todd straight up. I said, listen, I'm not looking to fucking sue you. I'm looking to make it angle. Okay, I'm seeing dollar signs here. Okay, Ant hasn't had his own run yet. Okay, I came in first. Ant was still in Germany. When he came in, I had the TV title for a while. You guys gave me a good push. I'm not a single guy. I don't want the heavyweight strap at that time. I'm not interested in that. I want to be a tag team Ant's guy back. He came back. He never got his single run. So I said, let's do something different. Let me do a run with Shane, I said, and put Anthony for the run for the TV belt. Right. No, and they did because they wanted to put the belt on him as well. So, and that just brought us back as TV champions. Both had the TV belt. Plus, we were still tag champions many times in ECW. Before it was ECW. Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. We were one of the originals. Next to the Super Destroyers.
Right.
You know?
It's
a lot of people don't know that shit, man. And it's funny.
That early years of ECW, that 93 and 94, before it hit really big and hot, there was that transition period where Paul was getting rid of Salvatore Bellomo and bringing in Ray Ray. See, I was at this point, I'm in Japan. Yeah. Okay, I already had my meeting with Vince. Already hired me to go to North Carolina to work with Paul Jones and George Scott. Right. Okay. Yeah. And they told me and Anthony, go down there and learn how to work 6 nights a week. The original Paul Jones.
Original Paul Jones and George Scott. Yeah. Okay, the originals were there with. It's funny how you opened up with Ricky Steamboat because we're there with Ricky Steamboat. Yeah. Every day we would get up, drive to Ricky Steamboat's gym, work out for free because he let all the boys work out for free. Lee Haney would be in there.
Just don't slam any weights.
Yes.
He was
and put your weights away. Ric Flair be on the fucking Stairmaster, fucking sweating like a pig, all the liquor he drank the night before. Heavyweight boxer in the world, Mike Tyson did his ear.
Buster.
No, Holyfield.
Oh,
Holyfield would even work out there once in a while. Wow. Yeah, so Lee Haney, the big body build. So there's some, Kataka was with us, Ken Shamrock was with us. Not many guys would go to the gym, but we would train every single day. That was just our thing. Mm-hmm. And Tennessee Stud and Matt Bourne and the Nasty Boys, they wouldn't work out. They'd be hanging out by the pool all day.
Wait, Brian Knobbs didn't like to work out?
No, not at all. So he would just do some arms every blue moon, because they wore the cut-off sleeves, so they said that's all they had to do. I said, that's great. So it was cool. So on the way home every day, we had to stop and pick up a case of, this is paying our dues, we pick up a case of Bush for the stud, Tennessee Stud, bring that to them, because they're done their first case by now, by the time we're done the gym. Right. So we bring them another case, do the drinking, then we drive to our shows, and they would be, be an hour and a half ride, anything, nothing over 250 miles, nothing crazy, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we make it back to Charlotte in time where we go meet the NWA out, or we go to the show. Yeah, did you guys just hang out at I think it was a nightclub called Whispers? Yes. Yeah, right, that was the first night we even knew about that place, we hung out with the Midnight Express. Yeah. Original Midnight Express, because we were there for 30 days and we didn't know what to do. Yeah. I didn't even see a piece of ass for 30 days. Right. We were just working and just dealing with rats. And we had these two girls that were so nice. They worked at a beer distributing place, and they loved me and Anthony. Nice. And we were baby faces. Yeah. Even though we were good baby faces, we sucked at cutting promos as baby faces. We're still learning. But they worked at this beer distributing place, so they'd pull up every week, especially weekends when they were off. Yeah. With a whole trunk and a whole back seat full of beer. Yeah. I mean, no lie. In our hotel room until we got a condo, put it that way, or apartment. We would have like 15 stacks of cases of beer, like 3 or 4 of them set up in our room.
Yeah.
And that's how much beer they would bring. And
Well,
the boys would just come to our place and grab beer and bring it back to their room.
Welcome to the life of a wrestler.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. But we had, like I said, Steamboat, John Studd, Ric Flair, the Malenko brothers, the Fantastics.
Were they also at that time working for
Japan?
And Paul Jones and
Yeah. So we get to work with these guys.
Yeah,
We were getting
wow.
unbelievable experience.
Sure. Yeah.
And we were baby faces at the time, so, but, I kept asking him, like, every time we did TV, I'm like, George Scott, I'm like, sir, is it possible, we could just cut a heel promo, we were always heels and blah, blah, blah. He's like, nah, if that costs money, son, kid, that costs money, kid. So, down the line, a month or two down the line, we're doing TV, and it's working out good, and they put the belts on us, and we're running with it, we're baby faces,
Sure.
So finally, he's like, one day, he was in a good mood, I guess, because we had a really nice house, and I think Steamboat came in, and it was good show, drew a lot. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to let you, actually, Gary, let's do something.
Yeah.
Instead of calling you the American Pitbulls, let's do, the Pitbull Dogs, Southern style, Let me hear you cut a promo with the Nasty Boys. So I cut a promo. No lie, man. George Scott and Paul Jones grabbed his head like this and just turned around. George just put his head down, shook his head, and said, "What the fuck?" That's exactly what he said. Because that's it. Stop. Tomorrow, be at the fucking studio. You are now the heels.
Yeah.
Good luck. He goes, Paul, call the fucking Nasty Boys right now. Let them know they're baby faces.
Yeah.
So we were able to turn them baby faces. And that's when I looked at Anthony and said, dude, I think we got something here.
And just in that story, again, like I take the fans back to understand, at that time, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy was not a heel. That was a babyface, right?
Absolutely.
Babyface. Guys that looked like you guys at that time
Babyface.
were babyfaces, right? And so it was just this straitjacket you get put in because of whatever preconceived notion somebody has of a guy that looks like you or me.
Yeah, but they didn't realize. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, you guys are natural heels.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
End of story. Like, your attitude, the way you talk, the way you're looking at this camera, you're putting the guy over even though you didn't beat him yet.
Right.
That's smart, he said. I'm like, thank you. But
how long were you guys in South Carolina at that time?
about a year and a half. Probably.
So babyface for a year and a half.
No. We were only there maybe 4 or 5 months before they turned his heel. And then, dude, it was over. They put us in the stud stable with Robert Fuller and Matt Bourne.
Right. But even then, it wasn't something they had planned. Holy shit.
They were just like, I can't believe you could cut a promo like this and you guys are natural heels. That's exactly what he said. And I took it as a compliment and I said, let's roll with it. And it just got better and better. And it worked because when I would work with Katanka, when he got to Vince, he was Chris Chavis at the time. He was still green, and so was Vince Terrell. He was Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
I mean, it got to the point where I could go back and look at Rick Rude work and do those spots for them. Yeah. Fly it off the top rope. You know what I mean?
Rude was amazing.
Yes. Amazing. He made the Ultimate Warrior was, if it wasn't for Rick Rude, I don't think there would have been an Ultimate Warrior.
And that's no slight towards Warrior.
No.
I think it's more of a show of respect to what Rick could do.
Another Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing. Like, he can make a guy that is chicken shit in a chicken fucking salad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With no problem. The best chicken salad you ever seen in your life.
Right.
You ate in your life.
With Rude, I had known Rude from 1990 being up there, and I was no longer able to. But I wasn't a big fan of the gimmick they put on. I wasn't a fan. I like the wrestling stuff more.
Oh, yeah, I love the wrestling.
And watching Rick wrestle, and then later working with him, my God, what a great guy.
Especially when we're in the business, so when we watch wrestling, it's different than when a fan watches wrestling. I'm looking at him in amazement on how good the psychology that he
Where did he
uses.
come up with that?
Yeah, and it's. I mean, come on, man! I have to fucking steal some of it. You know what I'm saying? You'd be a fool if you don't. Man. I'm sorry. I mean, come on. Especially Kurt Hennig, another person.
Oh, you're great. There, very few people know this. I've spoken about it a few times publicly. In 1990, when I was there, I had left WCW when Johnny and I were tagging, the Dynamic Dudes.
Yes.
Because they kept lying to us. And okay, one lie. When it got to the point where like all they're doing is lying to us. Lying to us about our merchandise money, lying to us about our spot, lying to I had it.
I know your merch was doing good.
Oh,
How did he do it?
Well, 89, I don't know if it's so much because of me and Johnny, but everybody was wearing that neon shit. And
Nobody had it until then.
yeah. So I left, and I've been keeping in contact with Pat Patterson at Dominance, guidance. He said, just call up periodically, say hello, just keep in
I
contact.
do. Check
Right,
it,
yeah. And so I called him from the airport when I left WCW. And I said, do you guys have anything up there? And he said, well, we don't. He said, tell you what, come up next week, I think it was. And he said, we'll take a look at you and we'll give you an opportunity. So I had no guarantee of what was going to happen there.
Yeah.
But that first run, it was great because I had great people to work with. I'm in that dressing, Haku, Perfect, Rude, all these guys, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And just watching and learning. And watching Kurt especially, because I remember him from like his AWA days, Memphis days, great worker. But now in the WWE, he's doing these crazy bumps, right? Like
Amazing.
popping
Amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. And he was starting to get a little bit tired at that point. They were working pretty hard, obviously.
Everybody was tired.
Yeah, I'm there.
They had an A court, a B court, and a C court.
No time off.
You guys were hitting, I think, because I remember in '88 going up there, and I saw the board. You guys were hitting 3 cities in one night.
Right. Yeah.
No bullshit.
And the loops back then, I think, if I can remember, I think it was 12 days on, 3 days off, 5 days on, 3 days off, back to the 12. So you never had more than 3 days. And you get on that first day, you're a zombie.
That's not a day off.
Yeah. The next day,
That's
your wife had her honey-do list,
yes,
right?
yes.
And then the next day, you're washing and packing up to leave after.
Yes.
So it's really like
You're home a day and a half.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you want to think of it that way.
Well, Kurt came to me, and I knew at that time something was up because Vince and Pat kept talking to me and asking me questions that didn't quite make sense. Would you mind tagging with somebody? You ever thought of being in a tag team? Stuff like that. Where's this coming from? And Kurt came to me and he said that he had been talking to Vince and explaining like it's taking its toll on him. Working with all these top guys getting thrown on these crazy bumps. Asked about a tag team. A few days later, Vince came back and said, "We're kicking it around. We're thinking of putting Shane Douglas with you and calling you the perfect pair." And Kurt came to me and asked, "You kidding me? Fuck yeah! I got me in." After that, something happened. I think he was having some issues with the contract. That's when they pushed me over to be the singer, and I was supposed to be the rock star guy. But Kurt, Rude, all those guys, just again that Memphis or Minneapolis clique, the New Jersey clique at Monster Factory. So you guys are down in South Carolina now.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah. So how long? A year and a half there. Then where? What was the next?
Well,
and what year are we talking about?
We're talking 80, end of 89, 89, 80, like end of 88, beginning of 89. That's when we said, okay, it's time to go work. Vince wants you to go down.
Yeah.
It's kind of developmental at that time.
Yeah.
You didn't have an NXT.
And did you guys?
We had 3 choices.
Yeah.
I could have went to Portland, Tennessee, or Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we took Charlotte.
Right. After Charlotte, though, did you guys go right to Vince?
No, what happened was while we were in Charlotte, Tokyo Joe got word about us through the Malenko brothers, Joe and Dean, and the Fantastics, and then other guys that happened to be going back and forth at that time and coming up to work for South Atlanta.
And they were paying great money, Japan.
Japan was paying unbelievable money. That's when Stan Hansen was there, Vader was there,
Gordy,
yeah. Dr. Death.
Yeah.
Don Fry, Boss Rutan, all these motherfuckers were there.
Yeah.
It was insanity.
Yeah.
And Tokyo Joe comes down. He's like, "I like your gimmick. I want to bring you to Japan." And I didn't even know Tokyo Joe had his own school. I didn't know he taught people how to wrestle. Right. I just thought he was an agent. I didn't know. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I didn't know he was a fucking teacher and taught guys how to work until maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, I ran into 2 guys from Vince.
Yeah.
The guys that used to wear all the paint, and they were there for so long.
Yeah.
The Road Warrior gimmick, kind of, but they never used them that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I forget what they
I know you're
But he got trained by Tokyo Joe. I had no fucking clue.
Went to the dojo over there.
Yeah, I had no idea. So this guy, like I said, I thought he was just an agent. He's like, listen, you know, he came and seen us like 2 or 3 times, and he offered us a deal. I mean, he flew all the way. He was flying to North Carolina.
Yeah.
We ended up done with Carolina, went back to Philly,
Yeah.
and we were getting ready to go to Vince. But here comes Tokyo Joe, that's in Philly,
Yeah.
and brings a contract.
Wow.
So we're like, this is what you want to pay us. And we're like, holy shit! Like this is I've never seen money like this
Right.
for a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't make this money in a month.
Yeah.
So I called Vince. I said, we got to talk. You know, let's have a meeting. You know, he was waiting. You know, so we talked once, and he fucking was pissed. So I just said, look, just match it, and I'll be happy. I want to work for you. I want to. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean. I know it takes a lot of time to get you. This is what I've heard.
Yeah.
You don't get to Japan right away.
No.
I mean, Vince, I go, how many guys in your locker room have been to Japan? He goes, not even half at that time.
Yeah.
He goes, and he's looking at me pissed. So I'm like, you know, so I'm not being wise. I said, but if I go to Japan first and come back, you're not going to be worth more money. And you could see in his face, he goes, you're right, but you pissed me off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not going to match.
Yeah.
As I respect him. You know what I mean? As a businessman, you know, he's a corny. I grew up in that corny shit, so I know.
Yeah.
So I contacted Tokyo Joe, and he said, okay, you're going. So we signed the deal. Contract.
90, we're talking 90 at this point, 90, 91?
Not between 90 and 91.
Yeah. So it would be, another year and a half before ECWA. And you guys, I can't remember, I don't think you were there at the very beginning, were you?
Oh, we were there when it was Tri-State Wrestling.
Still Tri-State.
It was Tri-State, and then it was Eastern, and then we started going to Japan. Because we lived 30 minutes away, 25 minutes. I lived 30 minutes from Tom Gordon's office.
Right.
I lived in Hamilton. It was outside of Philly.
You guys are now in Japan.
Yes.
You've had discussions with Vince.
Yes.
With ECW, I don't want to make it sound tearing our own thing down, but in that time frame, 92, 93, Tri-State, later
it's not extreme yet. It's
Right.
Eastern Championship Wrestling. I come home from a tour from Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, I happened to blow my knee on one of the tours. I was doing 45-minute matches with Thunder Lager. Okay, motherfuckers, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Japan, bro, you have no idea. All I suggest is this. If you can't do 500 fucking free squats and go 45 minutes to an hour, you're not ready and you're not in shape.
And sometimes 45 minutes in the sun.
If you're outside. Yeah.
Sun beating down.
If you're in a Tokyo Dome, it's 140 fucking degrees under them lights.
Now, back to Philadelphia and Tri-State Eastern Championship.
Yeah.
You guys are now in Japan and talking with WWE. You've already slid yourself up that ladder.
Yeah.
Of that card. Did it seem to you guys, Tri-State, Eastern Championship, whichever, was an indie, it was a smaller company, and that was like a step? Most guys would see it as a step down at that early time of Eastern.
Yeah. No, when I left, we were going back and forth to Japan so often. Like we would do 25 tours a year. Is that half a year?
Yeah.
Okay, that's half a year. So we were like, really, like we knew what was going on, but honestly, I didn't even know you guys had TV.
Yeah.
I was home one night. I had to get my quadricep reattached.
Right.
So I'm home on my mom's couch. I left Philly because I figured me go home to mom's cooking. You know, I can rehab in the small town, go to the gym. I rode my bike every day. I rehab my leg.
Right.
You know, they told me it's going to be this amount of months, whatever. And I'm just 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, I'm up and going through channels and boom,
Come across that.
Eastern Championship Wrestling. And I'm like, what the fuck? And there's the fucking Sandman.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm like, what the fuck? Because,
Did you know Hack at this point?
dude, I met Hack before he even wrestled.
Yeah.
I helped, listen, he never says it because he's shy. He don't want to say shit. But he knows, I always say it. And he gets so pissed off. He's like, can't you say anything positive? This is positive, okay, Hack? This is positive. I was doing a show, big show before I left for my first tour to Japan. Todd goes, come in. We're doing this huge fucking show. It's Battle Royal. Ric Flair and Abdul the Butcher's in the main event. Buddy Landell, the other Nature Boys there. You know, a lot of guys were there. It was a big show. 3,000, 4,000 people.
Yeah.
It was one of the colleges right on Broad Street.
Right.
So they put us in this big Battle Royal. They pushed me and Anthony to make us win it. Ant was the gentleman, took the back bump over. I go over, I'm the winner.
Was this Joel Goodhart?
Yes,
Yeah.
Joe Goodhart, Todd Gordon. So I'm walking out of the ring, I'm the winner of this big fucking schmaz. And here's this fucking big guy, tall motherfucker with blonde hair, comes running down step. Yo, yo, yo!
Everybody from
It's Hack!
Oh,
Sandman!
Hack,
I don't even know who he is. I don't even know who this motherfucker is. I
Yeah.
just know I see this guy, he's got to be like 6'2", 6'3". I'm
Yeah.
thinking, look, he's pretty fucking big. As he gets closer, he's getting bigger. So he's like, how do you do that shit, man? Where'd you go? You know, I want to learn how to do this shit. So at the time I'm working for Joel, he has a school. So I said, listen, look up Joel Goodhart.
Yeah.
He has a pro wrestling school right in the Northeast. You in Philly? He's like, I'm right outside Philly. I said, well, look that up. And fucking check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when I first met him.
Right.
And then off to Japan I go. A few years later, like I said, there he is.
Yeah.
So I fucking call. First thing I call is Todd Gordon. He's like, fuck yeah, come on down. Then I call Hack. I say, you motherfucker, look at you. He fucking went to the school.
Yeah.
I said, I don't approve of your gimmick.
Yeah.
I said, but I can't believe he fucking did it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking so proud. Like, you listen. Like,
Sure. And that's the thing I always talk to the boys about is there's a common thread, even though there's a million different directions into the business.
Yeah.
But the one common thread to all of it is we were all marks at one stage.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't say mark as a condescending term. That's our fans, right? The fan base.
You gotta, like these new kids today, oh, you're a mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, you're a mark.
Yeah, Mark's
Okay,
paid
because
attention.
you used to watch fucking me
Yeah.
and him, okay? I don't want to fucking hear shit. And then you want to talk shit when you have no clue what my history is.
Right.
A lot of people don't know our history because we went right to Japan.
Right.
I mean, who was on that American bus with us on that first tour to Japan?
I would say probably Gordy,
He could have been on that trip, the first trip.
Hanson.
Could have been.
Who else was there? Buddy Roberts.
Brian, I'll give you Killer Bees,
Killer Bees, okay, yeah.
Wild Samoans, which was Samu and Yokozuna,
Yeah.
Bam Bam Bigelow, okay, Vader.
Yeah.
Now you got Bam Bam
Yeah,
Bigelow,
yeah.
Vader, and Yokozuna. You got three monsters.
Yeah.
Just them three. Going,
Yeah.
okay, you got Bammer and Vader bumping heads.
Yeah.
You know, a black guy who wrestled a bear, fought a bear, and beat him. This black dude was badass.
Yeah.
Man. Jericho, Benoit,
Wow.
Owen Hart. So, like Owen, that's how we ended up becoming friends with those guys.
Yeah,
We
sure.
were like the Japan, the Malenkos.
Yeah.
We were all the 5'9", 5'10" guys.
Yeah.
You know, they got to go to Japan early.
Sure.
That's how we looked at it.
So, I'm trying to put pieces together in my head. So
This
you
is like
guys-
90. This is between 90 and 91 when we first started. And like I said, I got injured and I got home and it was like 93, I'm thinking. And we're already going a couple of years. And like I said, I turned the TV on. There's Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Now, did you guys still maintain your trips over to Japan as you were working for Eastern? Or
Yeah,
you
actually,
weren't stopping in?
we had the same kind of gimmick Sabu had. Because Sabu was going to Japan too.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm there with Tiger Jit Singh's father.
Yeah.
Okay, the real Tiger, the other Tiger with the mustache, he was silver gold medalist.
Oh yeah.
He used to always take me up if I got injured. Amazing. Oh, he put the STF shoe on me. These guys, because I'm in we're in the dressing room, and we're the first time in Japan, and these places are packed, 35,000 people, and I hear screaming, and I hear like it sounds like 100 cows are running across the street or something. It's like I'm like, what is that fucking noise? And they're like, it's people running.
From Stan Hansen or one of the
From
guys,
Stan Hansen and the Tiger Jet Singh with his sword. And I'm like, I don't understand. So when you talk about it, they go, well, if they touch you or hit you or anything, fucking punch them right in the fucking face. This is how it was back then. And I'm like, are you shitting me? They go, if you open hand, just knock them the fuck out. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fucking great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're heels, of course, because we're fucking American.
Mhm.
And I remember the first time going outside, man, and it was amazing. But I was like, this is totally different. And swinging, 2 Gold Scorpios there, and he was a young boy. That's the first time I met Scorpio, and he was living in the dojo. Like, we're in the fucking Tokyo Palace, and he's at the dojo.
Yeah.
So we get in the cab one night, me, Anthony, Bammer, You know, we're the Monster Factory guys,
Right.
and Squirt comes with us. And at that point, man, it already started kicking in. Like, we're fucking made it, you know.
Yeah.
We're getting fucking drunk with the boys. We're in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, we were already breaking phone bill records back when we were going to New Zealand. We had no clue. We were just calling everybody up. Nobody believed we were in New Zealand, you know. The water goes the opposite way. People don't believe that, man.
It's true. Yeah.
It's awesome, you know. And Don Morocco will be like, you motherfucking pit bulls, fucking every bitch in the fucking country, and you're giving me a $900 phone bill. You motherfuckers. You paid that first phone bill. After that, he said everything.
Took the phones out of the room.
Yeah, every tour he would take the phones out.
Yeah.
I mean, we even ribbed Robert Fuller. We were known for that, man.
Yeah.
We were known for, like, I'd go, if I knew Shane was down the hall, I would go visit Shane, but I'd use his phone to call my wife in Philadelphia or girlfriend. We were just fucking crazy, man. That was we were partying and doing drugs back then. I mean, we were looking at you guys, like the guys from the 80s, like the Greg Valentine, you know, Beefcake,
Sure.
Ted DiBiase. I'll tell you a quick story about Ted DiBiase if you want.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. Funny, man. No lie. I had to work him in a singles match. Him and Virgil. That's when the gimmick was he's putting a $100 bill in your mouth.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, kid, come here. You know, so they would split us up every once in a while, me and Anthony. So Anthony actually got to work Rick Rude.
Yeah.
One
Wow.
night. So I got to work Ted DiBiase. So I was like, this is cool. You know, and Ted's not, I don't know what you people think, but when you're my age, in my early 20s, and you go see Ted DiBiase, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
this guy's a big
Big
dude,
guy,
man.
yeah.
Big man.
A lot bigger than he looks on TV.
Fuck yeah. It's like Lex Luger. On TV, he looks a certain size, but he's the opposite. You look at Lex Luger in person back in the day, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. So he's like, all right, kid. Back then, they would say, I mean, I'm learning. You know, I'm trying to get experience. I don't expect much, but I would like to get one spot. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll give you one spot, kid. You know what I mean? Told me what he wants me to do. Virgil's going to try to, you know, con me into not wrestling him. You know, pay me off to do the job. And I got on the outside of the apron. I said, nah, man, I'm going to kick his old man's ass. I said, so he would come at me and ready to put his finger in my face. So I give him a shot to the stomach. He sold it. I was sunset myself back in.
Yeah.
Pull him in, 1, 2, you know.
Yeah.
I tried to be some cocky ass kid. This is my third time up at Vince. I'm thinking, you know what? Let me just test the waters. I want to see what's up, you know.
Yeah.
I held this motherfucker down. He really had to kick out. Okay, he fucking kicked out. And when he kicked out, I heard him scream, and I knew he was pissed. And I knew what the next, you know, spot was right after that was him hitting me with a clothesline. And he took my fucking head off. He clotheslined me right across my face and gave me my receipt. And I took it like a man, and I shit my fucking pants. Okay? Get a load of this shit. So I'm walking back in the bag. I said, walking right to the trash can with the towel, throwing my shit out. Yeah, believe me, I have tons of tights, man.
Yeah.
So here he comes, walking around the corner. We're all in this locker room, the job guy, and he's like doing this.
Yeah.
Selling it.
Yeah.
He's waiting for me. He's waiting for me. Comes up to me. I said, got up real quick. I said, oh, thank you so much. Fucking great. Thank you. Virgil's like, yeah, motherfucker. Took the $100 bill away from me. I said, thank you, Virgil. Thank you. And he looked at me and was like, good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good job.
Yeah.
Because he thought I was going to say something. And no, I learned from the very beginning, keep your fucking mouth shut and don't bitch.
Yeah.
And I guarantee today, if you or me did that to somebody today, you wouldn't hear the fucking end of it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And that's when, like I said, the word got around there. Well, like I said, like Bob Orton, Cowboy, and all them guys, they were all putting us over ahead of time.
Well, I remember, I don't know if it was when you guys first came in, but I remember when you guys started making the splash in Eastern, the ECW.
That's like I said. What happened? Like I said, Todd said I'm going to call Paul Heyman. You know, Doug Gilbert's here right now, but I'm bringing Paul Heyman, and he's actually here now.
Yep.
He's like, come to the arena Saturday night.
Right.
He's like, you ready? I said, I'm fucking ready.
Yeah.
I said, I've been ready. I'm fucking rocking. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go.
Sure.
I said, as a matter of fact, Anthony should be home in about a few months.
Yeah.
He's like, get your ass down.
Yeah.
So I came down, met Paul first night, you know. Of course, he said, I need you to work somebody get dressed. You know, so I got dressed, sat back, chilled out, came up. I think I worked Superfly Jimmy Snooker the first night.
Yeah.
And he said, put him over. I already met Jimmy. I was already boys with Jimmy.
Sure, yeah.
So it was like, fucking, all right, man. I'm back home.
Right.
In my mind, I was back home. Same locker room, you know what I'm saying? It was awesome, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But it was even better because now I see Superfly, Don Morocco, which was even better.
Right.
So I got to see him, Hawk,
Stan Hansen,
Art Anderson, Tony Blanchard. Like, I'm like, where's all these guys coming? You know, what's going on? You know, Sabalolo was still hanging in there around. You know, I seen Hack again. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what the fuck? This is great. You know, and I ended up working against Hack.
Yeah.
And I had to teach him another lesson that night. No lie, we had a great match, and Hack potatoed me, and Hack didn't know what that meant yet.
Yeah.
And I said, you got a receipt coming. And he was like in the ring, we were shooting the ring. He's like, what's a fucking receipt? I said, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. So I snap-mared him and gave him a nice knee to the fucking jaw. You know, nice knee drop, Warren Anderson style, of course.
Yeah.
And I hear a big, ow! We go in the bag, and he's like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, dude, he goes, what the fuck was that? I said, that was a receipt. And he just looked at me like, oh, okay. And he walked away. He didn't bitch.
Yeah.
But the Hack was tough, and I was, like I said, man, he did it. So,
Well, see, at that time frame, again, I don't know, it was the first time when you guys got there.
I was by myself.
Yeah, but when I started seeing you guys working together.
Yeah. You didn't get it.
No, it wasn't that I didn't get it. To me, these were slow, methodical changes that Paul was making in the book, right?
Yeah.
In the crew. He would get rid of the Salvatore Bologna and bring in Aconia.
Yeah.
Get rid of Stan Hansen and Hawk and bring in Benoit Malenko. And there was this slow churning where nothing against all those guys, but Paul at that point knew to take this forward. We can't keep relying on the older guys, more money and
Sabu.
Yeah, and not they were all great. It seemed like they weren't willing to do jobs, but those guys that had reputations didn't want to just openly. It was a lot more work to get them to do that.
Yeah, because when I first went there, I mean, I was putting them all over.
Yeah.
And I remember Paul came up to me one night. This is maybe 3 months there.
Yeah.
And he said, Gar, I just need you to do me one more favor tonight. And that was against Mike Hawk.
Okay.
Just do me this favor tonight. It's the last favor I want to ask you to do. And this coming weekend, I want you to come up to New York. I was like, okay. And I had a great match with Hawk, you know, which I love him and miss him. You know, he was a great guy. And went up to New York and hung out with Paul. Sure.
But there were, at that time, again, I couldn't specifically point and say May 1st or whatever, but in that first year, 10 months period, like mid to late 93, and then of course into 94, there was, and at the time I remember thinking to myself, like, get rid of Hawk, get rid of Hansen. I mean, these are big names, right?
Yeah. Still big names in Japan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
but
huge.
Then bringing these guys in behind, and unfortunately, I wasn't somebody that had been busy on the road for 11 years. I had heard the names like Mysterio and Hoovy and Conan and Benoit Malenko, all these guys, but I'd never seen or met any of them. And I'm thinking, we're getting rid of a Stan Hansen to bring in, how, again, naive I was, right? Because those guys would not have been able to do what we did to make Eastern Extreme.
By him bringing in what he did, bringing in those different guys from the different land, he was changing the landscape of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I think he had, due to the fact, I'm not saying we had the same deal, but we kind of had almost the same deal, but he was allowing Sabu and us to go back and forth to Japan. Mm-hmm. And it was okay. And we had no problem with that. I had no problem working for New Japan and just working for ECW.
Right. Yeah.
I was home more than I was on the road. I wasn't on the road 365 days.
Right.
I wouldn't probably be here today if I was on the road 365 days.
Yeah.
So I took a different track. Like a lot of people shun what I chose and what my partner chose. Yeah, I did make a couple mistakes and said no when I should have said yes. I missed out on a couple WrestleManias that were very big, that were fucking over like Rover, man. They had plans for us, dude.
Do you find like for me, every human being walking the planet and out there watching tonight has made mistakes in their lives.
Yeah.
But in real time, when you're making that decision that you later find out is a bad decision, you didn't know it was a bad decision.
No.
You were making what you thought was your best career move at that point. And again, I believe we've all arrived at the place we are because of our doing. Right?
Yeah.
So if you guys had done that, say gone to WWF or wherever, who knows what that would have entailed. You might have guys been the biggest thing, or they might have, after 6 months, they're going to go a different direction.
But you got to remember, this was before the Hardys. This was before the we were there. We would have been there before the Nasties.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the Nasties took our first.
Right. But to undergird my point, when I look at the Pitbulls, I see ECW talent.
Yeah, because we were strong still.
Big badasses, hard nose in the ring, that whole thing, which is what ECW would slowly become.
What helped us make that decision, no lie, was Stan Hansen and Terry Funk.
Really?
Yes. We were, right before we went to North Carolina, we were doing a show in Camden, New Jersey. It was a big-ass show. They had 2 trailers, boys in one, Stan Hansen, Terry Funk in the other. Larry Sharp said, you're going in that locker room with them too. Yeah. Because that's where I'm at. I said, absolutely no problem, sir. We go in there, we're very young at this point. We walk in and we're like starstruck. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Like, we don't even look. Nobody even came up to us about going to Japan yet. We're the shits, the drizzling shizzits. And they're in there going over their shit, which is very, very easy for them. And they're looking at us like, and we're like, oh yeah, can you keep an eye on, can you watch our match? Like I actually said that to them. Yeah. And they just looked at me, especially Stan. He looked at me like, this fucking kid asked me, what? He goes, you know what, I will. But don't, just like that, I will.
Yeah.
So Ant's like, the fuck are you doing? I said, I don't know, man. I think I'm trying to get some, I want to get some, pointers. Yeah. So our match was horrible, of course. We were green, came back in. Walked in, just shaking his head. I said, I know. I said, we're still green. He's like, well, sit down, get comfortable, watch this fucking match. Yeah. So I watched them guys go out there for 45, 30 minutes in front of, I don't know, there had to be maybe 1,000 people, not even. Yeah. Brought it into Camden Lake in the water, doing suplexes like Paradise Alley and shit. Yeah. Best shit I've ever seen in my life, man. They came in and I was just like, that's fucking the story. That's how you work. That was one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was live. Like, I was like, holy fuck. They go, that's how you fucking work, kid.
But again, like, look,
I was lucky.
Always it's confusing time, right? We don't know which direction to go. No. But looking back at it, say today in 2022, and looking back at 1988, 89, 90, those years, did you ever stop to think, if we hadn't gone to Japan, what would have happened? If we did go to WWE, what would have happened? Because each one of these things, it's like the butterfly effect, right? Yeah. You do an action, and it might create a tornado or a tsunami over on the other side of the planet. But to me, the fact that Pitbulls are a well-known name in wrestling, an iconic part of ECW, and the legacy of ECW has survived, each one of us in our own way contributed to that. And so in that sense, I mean, yeah, you might have gone to WWF and been to WrestleMania, but you were a Pitbull in the ECW.
Yes,
the original ECW.
That's why I'm very proud of that.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? God forbid, there's not many of us left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, in fact, we're going to get rolling. We're going to do this two-parter, so you get some more of the stuff. Mm-hmm. But before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony, first of all, for the great guy, right?
Take his shirt off his back and get no questions.
But freaky cockstraw.
Beast. I told you we're from farm town, man. Yeah.
When I was doing the singles matches,
he was pressing you like he could have stopped and brushed his teeth and just held you with one hand.
And I was 253 at the time.
Yes.
I was like a sack of potatoes. Like, my God, how strong this guy is.
Yes.
Crazy. But again, we'll tease it for the second part of this.
So we need a two-part because I'm not being a cocky motherfucker, but when it comes down to this, people don't understand the Pitbull legacy and what we've done.
Right.
Because I walk in locker rooms, independents here and there, and they'll be like, oh, you were in Japan. I'm like, yeah, and you work so-and-so, and Master Saito. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Silver medalist. Right. Japan, yeah.
And there are still a lot of...
And they're like, no fucking way. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. Like,
and there are still a lot of fans out there that think, boy, you never been to WrestleMania. I've never been, and I'm proud of that.
It's okay.
And that's in the industry that was dominated by that company.
But I was in the first pay-per-view ECW. We
We
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like I said,
we got so much more to talk
We'll
about.
back
It's
to the
amazing.
second round, but again, Pitbull, Gary Wolf, and this is Appalachian Expose. You know that the franchise is always going to have somebody here great to talk to. Well, till next time, we've got a lot more shit to cover about this guy right here. Love you guys.
Out.